You're now listening to Sound Talent Media. Check out more shows at soundtalentmedia.com.
When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof, like Skims or Allbirds, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and great marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business, making selling and for shoppers buying simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. It's home of ShopPay, the #1 checkout in the world. You can use it to boost conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts going abandoned and way more sales going through to checkout. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout Allbirds uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/income, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/income to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/income.
All new drinks are now at McDonald's, with refreshers like the Strawberry Watermelon Refresher and the Mango Pineapple Refresher with popping boba, to crafted sodas like the Sprite Berry Blast with berry flavors and cold foam. Who knew ice-cold drinks could be so fire? Try them all now at McDonald's.
Refreshers contain caffeine. Copyright 2026, The Coca-Cola Company. Sprite is a registered trademark of The Coca-Cola Company.
Well, hello, good people, and welcome back to another episode of the Tone Mob Podcast, or welcome to your first episode of the Tone Mob Podcast. If you've never been here before, I thank you for taking the time. It really means the world to me. This is one of those intros where it sounds different than normal, and well, that's because I'm recording from an empty street not too far away from the highway here in northern Idaho, where I took the family for a little vacation and a little work/vacation as I was visiting some of the Stringjoy dealers. Now, speaking of Stringjoy, that's how this episode came to happen. Now, if you had told me at any point that I'd be recording with this man for any length of time pre-2015, I simply would not have believed you. And if I told you that we at Stringjoy would have been working with him even as late as 2018, I may not have believed you either. But the fact is, we've been working with Mark Morton for several years. And not only was this man gracious enough to come on this podcast and blabber with me for quite a long time, he's also helping us promote something very cool, and that is the Summer of Stringjoy. Summer of Stringjoy, yes, you've probably heard me talk about it because we've done it for several years now, and this month is the first one of 2026, and guess what? We're giving away a Gibson Les Paul Mark Morton signature. So not only is he helping us promote that, he also took the time to come on this show. And why am I wasting your time talking about all this nonsense? Well, because you can win this guitar. Go to stringjoy.com and check out all the details, and maybe you'll win. This is a sick guitar. This is a quilted top Les Paul with a nice purple finish. I've never quite seen one like this. It is gorgeous. We have it at the shop, and I can't wait to get it into somebody's hands. And that somebody could be you. So go to stringjoy.com right now, check out all the details, and help make this Summer of Stringjoy a absolute tremendous banger. And let's get into this episode with Mark Morton. Let's do it. Okay, let's go. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Tone Mob Podcast, a show about guitar stuff, occasionally, sometimes. I'm your host, Blake Weiland. With me today, I have Mark Morton. What's going on, dude?
What's up, Blake? How you doing, man?
Oh, man, I'm doing excellent now. I've been excited to do this, so we're finally here. We're finally doing it.
I made you get up early today.
I am a night owl, so that
Is
was
that right?
Yeah. I typically stay up pretty late and correspondingly get up pretty late versus most parents. But
Yeah, all right.
But I was actually surprisingly bright-eyed and bushy-tailed for this morning. I'm like, I get to talk to Mark. All right, let's go.
Good deal, man.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. Where to start with you, man? It's been you've been doing this a long time. You've been playing guitar for a long time. Let me ask you this: when you were a kid, first starting out, did you envision a world in which you were one of the guys that people look up to in the world of guitar? Did you think that was ever going to be a possibility?
I don't think it even occurred to me. And I don't think that it was, frankly, anything I was interested in.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't start playing guitar to like be popular or to make a name for myself or to impress anyone really. I don't think there's anything wrong with people that do pick up a guitar with that kind of ambition. Like whatever gets you your hands on the instrument, I think is awesome. Doesn't matter what, if it's because you want to pick up girls or because you want to, be with the cool crowd or be with the not cool crowd or whatever it is. There's no wrong answers, right? But for me, it was I just really, as I was, even before I ever played, the sight of an electric guitar seemed holy to me. It just seemed like it had this like aura around it, this light emanate. It could be a picture of an electric guitar, and I was just like enamored with it before I even considered the idea that I could have one in my hands.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I got it in my hands, the whole world made sense to me, and I just like I didn't want to put it down ever. So it was that the Linus security blanket. It was where a lot of kids I think find books or find whatever video games or sports or whatever takes their focus. Like for me, once I found guitar, it's really all I cared about.
Mm-hmm.
So to answer your question, no, I never really thought of it in those terms. Just because playing it was enough, like having it there was enough for me to stay attached. And then eventually playing with other people and starting to write songs and having a little band and then playing shows and that kind of stuff. All of that, wherever I was at the time in the trajectory, in the journey, as we would say, it was enough.
Mm-hmm. Was there ever a moment, because like music is it's an interesting way to make a living, right? And some even
that's one way to put
it. Even us that are kind of in it in varying degrees, I think, especially we have kids and everything, we recognize that it can be hit or miss sometimes. Were your parents and family supportive of you pursuing this, or how did they treat that when you started really showing an interest?
Yeah, extremely supportive, and I'm so lucky that way. My whole family was. So I have an older brother who's like 7 years older than me. So when I was just getting into guitar at like 12, 13 years old, he was 19 or 20. Had a license, had a job, had some money in his pocket, that kind of stuff. And so he was really excited that his little brother was like learning to play all these cool songs that he liked, you know what I mean? And so he would take me to music stores. We lived kind of far from any like real, like legit, like big music stores. And back then you didn't have the big box stores. It was all mom and pop stuff, but we would have to drive 45 minutes to get to the sizable ones. But he would carry me to those stores, and we would spend a couple hours in there, just me trying stuff and playing stuff. And my parents were super supportive. My mom would take me after school or in the summer to get some just basic guitar lessons, just the real foundational stuff I learned from a teacher, the cowboy chords and the first couple pentatonic scales, how to tune it, how to change the strings. Like I still change the strings the way my guitar teacher taught me to change them, which is, I don't know. There's probably only so many ways to put a guitar string on, but there's a few. And the way I do it is the way, that guy still taught me. So, just the real foundational stuff I learned from lessons, and then just hours and hours in my room just burning up cassette tapes, pausing it, trying to get at the next little note that I heard in the riff, and training my ears that way. Not really intentionally training my ears, just trying to figure out how to play that AC/DC song or that Metallica song or whatever it was,
Yeah.
But yeah, my family were super, super supportive, and that was very helpful.
Yeah. Yeah, that's incredibly a lot of people that I talk to, they have the same report. So I think that is maybe perhaps even still underrated in the development of a musician, is like having that there for you, because it's already kind of hard enough, and if you have any pushback, it makes it that much more difficult to pursue even just learning how to do the thing, let alone pursuing it as an actual career. So,
well, and I think there's a broader like idea there. Just, you mentioned us both being parents, like just as parents, like, whatever the thing, I try to keep in mind with my kid. I mean, I have guitars laying all over the house, and, my oldest daughter can play a few chords, but it's mainly because she likes to sing. So she'll just kind of play, just the basic accompaniment so she can, try and sing some stuff. And I've showed her a couple chords, but I'm not chasing her around the house trying to teach her how to play guitar. Like, you know what I mean? If she wants to learn it, they're everywhere. There's only a couple she's not allowed to pick up. and if she has some questions, I'll answer them. But I am supportive, of like all my kids. One of my little ones is in dance, and that's just as cool. My teenager's in theater, and I'm so thrilled about that. You know what I mean? So it's like, and I have a young son, and he's a little too little to be into much of anything. But when he is, like, whatever the thing, like, and that's, I think, so important, whether it's music, whether it's playing guitar, whether it's sports, whether it's theater, whether it's whatever the thing, just creating an environment where, as a parent, as a family member, you support that young person in what their interest is, as long as it's a healthy interest. It doesn't have to look exactly like the thing I was into,
100%.
And I think that's good stuff. And I'm grateful that I had that kind of environment growing up, because no one in my family was a musician. My brother and my dad worked on cars.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. My brother and my dad wrenched on cars. They built cars. They, restored cars, painted cars. And I was around all that, and I know a little bit about it, but it wasn't the thing that, I was playing guitar, So, I'm just, I'm grateful to have been supported in my interests, and not having to be funneled into what someone else thought I should be in or might have thought I should be in.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one thing I've been trying to avoid is, being the cliched musician version of the football dad, because it's like given me so much in my own life that I'm like, oh, wouldn't you want to experience this too? But at the same time, it may not be their thing. It just might not be. And you got to be okay with that. And I think that I am. I probably sound like it's a little more of a struggle than it really is, but I don't know. My oldest is kind of into it. My youngest seems very into it. We'll see where it leads. And I'm kind of good with whatever it is, because I know how bad it feels to try to fit into something you don't really like to do just because other people want you to do it. My parents didn't force me to do anything either. But still socially there was some pressure, like, oh, you got to be real into sports. It's sports. Sport is the thing. And I'm like, I don't care. I don't. But
I'll tell you, there's a specific joy, and I only know this through my experience, really, in watching your child find their thing. And it's a thing that my oldest daughter is way into theater, and she's really talented. I know I'm a proud dad, but she's actually I ask around, is she good or no, she's really good. Right. And I don't really know anything about that world, but I get to learn about it as she kind of explores it and really picks it up and puts it on. And now she's in performances and stuff like that. And it's just not really a world I've ever been super exposed to. And I'm learning all about it through my teenage daughter, who has found this entirely on her own, and it's a creative element. So I do kind of understand, like, that's her version of me picking up a guitar, and me going and forming my first bands and playing my first shows are her first performances. And now I'm watching her go up the scale and like being a part of some really cool productions. And I'm just like, man, she did that like really on her own. I mean, I helped her get to some of the camps and helped her get to some of the auditions and stuff and filled out some of the paperwork. But I mean, the creative stuff, the talent and all that is developed. She did that. And there's a specific joy in that I think is probably greater than me saying, all right, sit down, we're going to play guitar for an hour every day and you're going to learn, you know what I mean? It's like, whatever,
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Yeah. That's incredible that she's able to do that. But also there's some elements of it that cross over into your world. Most people don't know what it's like to stand on stage in front of a bunch of people.
And that's the thing where I can, right. And I'm glad you point that out, because that's the thing where I can say, man, I missed a performance. This was a while back. She had a show that she'd been rehearsing for and been a part of this thing for. And man, I had a show. We had a 1-off or a 2-off or something. I was out of town and I just missed the thing. I had to work, and she's grown up knowing that. I mean, I've been doing what I do her whole life. But she was a little bummed that I was missing this one. And I told her, I said, hey, when you're up there, remember, and I was playing that same night. I was like, remember, I'm up there in wherever I was, you know what I mean? In Chicago or whatever. I was like, I'm up there too. You know what I mean? I'm just doing it somewhere else. And we had that kind of bond where it's just like, yeah, we both got a show tonight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And if she wants to pursue that as a career, it's going to be very much the same thing, right?
She's going to be missing stuff at home. Yeah. That's right. That's right.
Yep. So I ask this of every dad that comes on the show that's a touring musician. I ask this question, I think, or a version of it. Like, how do you balance that? Because you guys are a full-time touring band. You go all over the world. You play lots of shows. You're very busy with that side of your life. How do you balance that? Because obviously your family is very important to you as well.
Yeah, you balance it in different stages of your life and different stages of your kid's life, and in different, really in different scenarios, depending on what's going on at home. I mean, there have been tours that we have. There's one in particular I'm thinking of a few years ago that we postponed because I think everyone collectively just had been gone too much, and it, people that don't tour won't understand, and they don't need to understand. But it's just, there's a certain point when you've been away so much that things are really a mess at home, and just you're not there, and it's a terrible feeling because nothing's more important. I mean, I guess that's how I balance it, is at the end of it all, like, my family and my life outside of the band is in fact more important. Mm-hmm. And I don't mind saying that. That doesn't mean my career isn't important. It's huge. That doesn't mean Lamb of God isn't a priority. It is. There's a lot of things. I just told a story of things I miss. I'm missing a birthday here in a couple weeks from one of my kids because I got a show, and that's just what it is. My kids understand that. But at a certain point, if you're needed at home, you go home. And that's not always an easy decision or a convenient decision to make. And I think that's a boundary that I've had to learn over years of doing this, where what I really came up with is, Blake, that one of my keys to sanity in the midst of all this is to always maintain an identity that is separate and apart from Mark, the guitar player from Lamb of God, always. And that identity is more important to me. And that's not a slight at Lamb of God. It's a huge part of my life. And I love it so much. I love the guys I work with are family. But I have an identity and a group of friends, and we just don't talk about Lamb of God that much here at home.
Right.
It's not because we resent it or because it's a taboo subject. It's just things are different here. We got kids and dance recitals and theater productions and chickens and grass to cut and play dates to go to, and moms and dads, and it's just a different thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and on the other side of it, and this is I'm sure how it is for you too. The great part about your job is once you're home, you're home. Like there isn't a bunch of other things, right? Is that accurate to say?
It's not accurate.
Oh, okay, okay. Fair enough.
It's just different. It's just different. In fact, it's pretty commonly that when I'm off the road, I'm actually busier working. Kind of depends what we're doing. But when I'm on the road, yes, I'm away. But the only thing I have to do that day is put on a show, which is enough, but it's real simple. Everything revolves around that hour and a half of the day. And I structure my whole day around that. At home, that's when we're writing. I'm home right now, but I'm leaving Friday to fly and play a show in Florida and then coming home. So I'm bouncing in and out. I work on the production for the next tour that's coming out, all the stage production stuff. I have merch designs to approve. I have merch lines to curate. I have business calls. I have business management calls. It's just the business of the music. I love that stuff, but it's a lot to it, So it's more than just playing guitar on stage and then come home and waiting around for the next tour. It's so much more than that because it's a business. And so not only are we band members, but we're business owners, and it's an active business, and there's a lot that goes to it.
Yep. That makes a lot of sense, and I 100% relate to that.
Yeah,
Plus,
sure. You're a business owner too. I mean, again, you're talking about separate identities. I'm a business owner. So when I grab the guitar and I go up there and the lights come up and I'm playing the riffs, I'm not in that mode. I'm in guitar player mode, performer mode. But then, when I'm home for a couple of days and I catch up on my sleep or whatever, and then I'm in dad mode and business owner mode, and it's just a different full-time career. It's cool. None of this is like grievance. It's just like it's my life, man.
Hey, Rocky.
What's up, Vincent?
Did you hear about the latest?
Latest what?
The latest drop from Maris. It's totally insane.
No, tell me more.
Maris just released Enzo X.
What's that?
Enzo X is a supernova expansion from the original Enzo into the highest quality and most flexible studio synthesizer ever created in a pedal format.
Whoa!
Enzo X combines 5 synth types, 5 drives, 3 reverbs, and 5 modulations. It also includes a full 2.5 second stereo delay, all in one pedal.
That sounds hard to use.
It's not. The UI is from the same family as the Mercury X and the LVX. It's super easy to dive in and see exactly what you are tweaking in real time.
Oh, I see. It's right there on the screen.
Yep.
Is it just for guitars, though?
Nope. You can plug almost anything into the Enzo X, including your MIDI controller.
That sounds incredible. Where do I get it?
You can pick up Enzo X online at maris.us or at any of their fine retailers across the globe.
Did you just say across the globe?
They know what I meant.
Wait, are we getting paid for this?
I'm still waiting on that cash money from last time.
He better at least give us pizza for dinner.
I'm not giving him his Enzo X back until he does.
For more information, make sure you check out maris.us, and apparently I have to go order a pizza. How exactly do artists get their music on Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer, Tidal, all these services? How in the world do you get your music there? Well, in the past, you had to use something called a record label. But these days, you can use DistroKid. DistroKid is the absolute easiest way to get your music up on streaming services, and it's the most affordable way to do so. Not only do plans start at $22.99 for the entire year, that's less than $2 a month, DistroKid also does not take a cut of your streaming revenue, unlike some other services out there. Even better if you sign up by going to tonemob.com/distrokid. That's tonemob.com/distrokid. One more time, that's tonemob.com/distrokid. You'll get 30% off. That's right, 30% off their already extremely reasonable prices. So go to tonemob.com/distrokid and get your music out there. We are brought to you today by Sweetwater, specifically the Gear Exchange. You may have heard about this. This is a place where you can go to buy and sell your used gear. Maybe you got a pedal over there that's just kind of collecting dust. Maybe there's something you've been eyeing from the Sweetwater catalog. Well, right now is a great time to turn that unused gear into something you're actually going to use. Even better, if you sell on the Gear Exchange, you can keep 100% of the sale as long as you choose a Sweetwater gift card as your payout method. That is not too shabby because, let's be honest, most of this buying and selling we do is just to fund new gear purchases, and that is a great way to reach a wide variety of customers and keep 100% in your pocket, or rather on your pedal board. So go check out the Sweetwater Gear Exchange and turn that unused gear into something that's actually going to help you write that next huge riff.
It's reality.
It's reality, and it's a great one. It's a great one. But it's one that like fans need not think about. It doesn't like, I don't, just be fans of the music. Like, don't worry about all that stuff.
And I think, though, it's valuable for them to know, honestly, because I think a lot of people do view it as like, that guy just gets up and plays riffs all night, and that's what he does.
Isn't it better if someone thinks that?
I don't know. Maybe for that moment, in that, but I think it's good for them to know the person too.
I guess if someone's interested, I have friends that, a lot of my friends aren't necessarily like plugged into like the heavy metal world or whatever, but via, through our friendship, they've become interested in what I do and sort of, and I can't count how many times I've had people say, man, you've really like torn down my fantasy of like the rock and roll lifestyle. You know what I mean? I'm just like, yeah, I don't want to do that. I'd rather you think it's, it's everything, Motley Crue, The Dirt. And look, there were years that were like that, pretty well documented. Mm-hmm. But that's not sustainable. And you're not, that's not how we roll anymore.
Well, yeah, and eventually you don't want to, I imagine.
No,
it's like, I can't do this anymore.
If you survive it, if you live long enough, you don't want to anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it's I don't know. For me, like, and this is maybe just, I guess, speaks to the type of person I am. I've always been excited to hear about that kind of, I guess, for lack of a better term, nerdy stuff. Like, what actually goes into making a band work? Oh, it's substantially different than what you think it is, especially if it's a successful band that's sustainable and can actually keep doing a thing for many, many years. If you're not paying attention to it, it falls apart every single time.
Well, that's the thing when you get to this, and I'm not trying to like stunt or pull rank or anything like that. We're definitely not the biggest band in the world. We do great, and I love where we're at. But I think when you get, what I've noticed is once you sort of get to a certain tier of the size and profile and success of the band and length of duration of that, almost all of those bands are operating at a very, very professional level. You have to, because if you're just wilding out and reckless and got your eye off the ball, you're just not gonna. It's like sports or something. If you can't, you might be a star in high school, but you can't play like that and be a star in the NFL. You know what I mean? Like you have to elevate the way you do what you do to arrive to the next level. And I think, you do that by learning. So that's why it's so valuable to open for big bands. Because if you're paying attention, you can learn a lot about what they do and don't do and compare that to what you're doing and not doing and be like, oh, what if we did this like they do it, or at least our version of that? And you start to see, that works better. And they probably learned that from someone else,
Yeah, for sure. Well, speaking of like metal and like being in a metal band, I have to backpedal a little bit to explain my perspective here, but when I was a kid, as supportive as my parents were of music and me doing my thing, I grew up in a house where we listened to both kinds of music, country and Western. And that's a little bit of an exaggeration, but when I started getting into punk and hardcore and metal and all this stuff, my parents were like supportive, but also understandably like, I don't know about that. Like, what is that guy saying? Like, what are all these people running around smashing into each other? Like, I don't know what this is, and I'm not sure about it. But to see it go from that, even in like the late 90s, early 2000s, to what you guys are doing now, I always point to like Lorna Shore, because they're so extreme and so huge at the same time that like I feel like metal and hardcore have completely went beyond the genre's original expectations. Like, what do you attribute that to, and how do you view it?
Well, let me understand your question more. Went beyond the genres. Like, what,
I guess I missed out. I left out a part of that story. Yeah, I left out about part of that story. My dad was like, "Well, those guys are never gonna make it into like a big band."
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, that's like a very niche, like weird thing that's never gonna be sustainable in some ways.
Sure.
Yeah.
But that's what older people, no dig at your dad, because he was probably my age when he told you that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, yeah. I think that's pretty accurate.
What I'm saying? Like,
I'll
be 54 years old in a few months. So, you know what I mean? Like, I'm an older cat. But I think that's what people have always said about, young people's music. And I mean, that's what they said about rock and roll when it was born. And that's what they said about hip hop when it was born. I mean, hip hop's like, rap music is, one of the biggest genres there is, and I'm old enough to remember when rap was like a very new thing, and people said it wasn't even music, and it wasn't to be taken seriously, and it's like, come on, man. Like, they said that about jazz. They said it about heavy metal. They said, so that, I don't think that is a singular or unique reaction to some kind of new, fresh, extreme, type of music, genre of music. And I think Lorna Shore's great, and really they're great, and I think they're really important. And this is not a dig or disrespect, but when I hear Lorna Shore, I hear a lot of stuff like Dimmu Borgir and that kind of stuff like that. Like, it's reminiscent to me. So even Lorna Shore feels cyclical to me, and I would apply that to Lamb. Lamb is very rooted in Bay Area thrash. It's like to me, the combination of it is like Lamb is essentially California metal mixed with Gothenburg, and that's what Lamb of God is, right? It's like Bay Area thrash, Slayer, Megadeth, a trip through Texas, and Gothenburg. You know what I mean? And that's what Lamb is. So by that I mean, like, it's all derivative. So when we talk about Lorna, like, I'm not digging. I think they're fantastic, but I hear a lot of stuff in there that was, is derivative from stuff, like Dimmu Borgir and that kind of thing. That kind of more symphonic, like black metal, extreme stuff. And that's cool, man. That's cool that I can hear that there. So I think that's what all music is. It's just a re-amalgamation of influences.
Yeah, that's true. And you're right.
I'm off. Maybe those guys don't care about puritanic whatever, missing to whatever that great Dimmu record is, but I hear it, so.
Well, that's the thing, is sometimes I'm not going to speak for those guys because I've never talked to any of them, but like, whether you know it or not, it's coming through, right? Like, I'm talk about it too much on this show, but I put out a solo record a few years ago, and a lot of people were like, that sounds like Explosions in the Sky and like a handful of other things. And I'm like, I don't really listen to that. So how could it be? But then when I go and listen to what everybody says it sounds like, I'm like, oh yeah, it does sound like that. Yeah. Okay. I wonder how that snuck in to my influences, because it clearly did. I didn't invent it. right? So even if you're not directly influenced and can't name check like this artist or this band, sometimes they are influencing you without you realizing
And
it.
sometimes it's just the spirit of stuff. I mean, we hear it with we call it the P word. We hear it with Pantera all the time, you know. But I love Pantera, like love Pantera, and Dime, big influence. Like love Dime, love Pantera. But like everyone's like, you know, Lamb rips off Pantera. I'm like, well, show me the song. Like, can you show me a song that sounds like Pantera? You know what I mean? Or is it just the spirit of it? Which, okay, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of overlap there. Just kind of like, you know, whatever, like grungy sort of, you know, Southern culture, like wear the same raggy clothes on the street that we wear on stage. Like that's all, those things all overlap. You know what I mean? But a song for song, no. I mean, you know, hold us up against some Testament songs and you got an argument, you know, but Pantera, we don't have any songs that sound like Pantera, but it's a similar kind of energy, right? So, you know, whatever. I'll take all the comparisons.
I think that's probably more what it is. It's the energy, it's the vibe more than anything else. Because I can kind of see it, but I also see what you're saying. I'm like, well,
and that's just who we are. You know what I mean? That's just who we are, and that's not a costume, and that's cool. I mean, they were a metal band with a punk rock singer. We're a metal band with a punk rock singer. You know what I mean? So there you go.
Yeah, and two of the greatest to ever do it. So I mean, there you go. Look at that. It all works. So since I pretend that this is a guitar show, I guess we should probably talk a little bit about guitars. I want to know, and I know you've told this story before, but for my audience, like the new Gibson that you have collaborated on and created is, in my opinion, one of the coolest signature models that has come out in a very long time. I really, really like it. It speaks to my heart, like in a way that it can do metal, it can do all that stuff, but it can do everything. And that's what I like about it. And I'm a big Les Paul guy. I have several myself. And I just, when I saw this come out, I was so stoked. And not to plug too much, but that's a big part. I was like, we got to give one of those away. We got to find one. Go find one. Let's give one of those away. So everybody that's listening to this right now, you can win one. Go to stringjoy.com. Okay, that's over.
Yeah, appreciate.
How did this happen?
That. That's a cool thing. Yeah. How did it happen? Well, so, you know, I was with Jackson for a very long time. And had a signature model with Jackson for a very long time. And so I start there because I think it's important. Like, I have nothing but great things to say about the folks at Jackson Guitars. I had such a wonderful experience there. I'm still friendly with so many of the people that I worked with. I'm very, very proud of the guitars we made. I played them for a long time. They were and are great guitars. They're still floating around out there. You can get them if you want one, and they're super cool and very unique. And I had a great experience there. And there was always a Gibson Les Paul in the room, always. I played those Jacksons on stage. I recorded with those Jacksons. There's still a couple in the room here with me, you know what I mean? That I keep, a couple of my favorites. And but there was always a Les Paul in the room. There was always a Les Paul in the studio. The Les Paul is the first guitar I ever fell in love with, and there was just frankly always one there. And you can see that in the early stuff. There's a lot of early Lamb of God, like studio footage and documentary footage, and half the time I'm on a Les Paul. They were always there. So when I was introduced to Cesar, and we had some great conversations, and eventually, it wasn't right away, but eventually the opportunity came to become full-on part of the Gibson family, and that's really what it is. And I didn't realize that until I was kind of already in the mix and already there. But, you know, the new culture at Gibson it feels like a family of artists. It feels like a team in a way that's a lot more intermingled and a lot more open communication than what I had been accustomed to from a guitar endorsement. And that's really cool. But so I didn't necessarily even entirely realize what I was being invited into. But I took the opportunity to start working at Gibson because working with Gibson really, because there was just, like I said, I was 50 years old or almost. And there was always been a Les Paul in the room. It was my first favorite guitar. And I just couldn't pass that chance up. Jackson was going through some changes and they're doing some really cool stuff now. And I think they found a footing, and I'm still a fan of their stuff, and I love those people, but I just felt it felt the appropriate time for that. Door opened at the right time for me where I decided to go through it. And I'm sure glad I did, because what that led to was just an open dialogue that I still have, all the time, where if I have an idea about something, if I have a thought about something, if I have a review, a criticism, whatever, I have the voice to say that, and my ideas are considered. And that's kind of where we started with the signature model. And it took a little time, and Gibson makes a lot of guitars, and they have always something new and exciting coming down. I mean, if you follow them, there's always something new they're launching, and that's just the way they drop, and it's cool. So it took a little while to get in the queue, and we took a long time developing things. I played protos on stage for a long time. We developed the pickups. Jim DeCola is legend, and he so understood the assignment, which was, I need something that is high gain but passive, but I can still roll back and feel kind of very dynamic. But if I start banging on it, it's going to put the throttle down and really give me that gain response I need. And he's just a scientist, man. I think we did 2 or 3 proto pickups, and he nailed it. The guitar, the visuals, Cesar and I were really in kind of real back and forth dialogue about, the top and how we wanted it to look and that kind of thing. So it was a process.
Yeah. I relate to this in some ways, because the Les Paul was the first guitar that I fell in love with too. And I'm looking at my first one over the mic over here. Like it makes me happy. I look over there, I'm like, oh, look at it. There it is. And every time I picked that thing up, I had it. It was my first electric guitar. I beat on it in every band. And all these years of chasing different sounds, and I've got this ridiculous collection of pedals and all this stuff. I built this whole shed so I could come out here and make noise by myself. Like that, it's a bad obsession. It's a good obsession, but it's also
that's where
a lot.
That's where I'm at too. I'm in my it's my studio. It's where Lamb rehearses. It's where I record demos. It's where I make all my noise. Yeah, I got the same setup. It's important.
It's good. But I go back, I plug this guitar in, I'm like, man, this is still it. Like this old, now it's old, which feels weird to say, but like this old Les Paul Special that I've just sweated on for years is still the one that, like, even my buddy, I'm good friends with Chris Benson of Benson Amps, and he come over here, and he, out of all the guitars out here, he's like, what's that? And he picks this up, he's like, oh, this is the one. I'm like, I know, what is up with this Les Paul? It doesn't make any sense.
They're like that, man. They really are like that, where when you get a good one, I mean, most of them are good, but when you get a really good one, and that's why it's like, these modern day, and look, get a guitar however you get a guitar, play it, and as long as you got a guitar in your hands, I support it. But I personally don't like buying a guitar that I haven't played first. You know what I mean? Like clicking put it in the cart and wait for it to show up. I don't know. I want to get my hands on it because they're all a little different. I mean, I've played 59 standards that are duds. $350,000 guitars that just don't move me. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not in the market for something like that. It's not my kind of thing. But I've played, and then I've played beaters and clunkers that just do everything you want it to do. Now that doesn't mean all 59s are duds. Some of them are the best guitars I've ever played in my life. But it's like you can't tell what a guitar is just by saying like, this is what year it is. This is what model it is. You got to get your hands on it because they're kind of alive, man. And they're all charged a little bit different.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the custom that's behind me there, I wanted a Les Paul custom for years. And the listeners have heard the story a million times, but I played, I don't know, 20 plus over the years, just kind of like, I don't really like this one. This one's okay. And I was like, I got to the point where I was like, maybe I don't actually like these. Maybe I just like them aesthetically, and Randy Rhoads does his thing with it, and all these hardcore bands I grew up loving do their thing with it, and then maybe it's not for me. And then I found the one. I picked it up, played it without even plugging it in. I'm like, I think this is it.
That's another thing. A lot of times you can tell it's great before you plug it in. Mm-hmm. Just the ones that are loud and have sustain without even being plugged in. Like if it's already like that, it's going to be like that when you put it in an amp for sure. Mm-hmm. That's a cool Dan Armstrong you got behind you. Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's one of the I think it was like late 90s, early 2000s made in Japan ones. Okay, like a reissue one. Yeah. Yeah. There's a little story there. I was at Carter Vintage and played one of the OGs, and I was like, man, this is really cool. Maybe I should get this thing. And my buddy Hank from Hank's Music Exchange here in Portland saw me post about it, and he's like, not trying to like steal a sale or anything, but before you grab that, maybe you want to come check the one out that I have here back in Portland. And I was like, okay. So I did. And I'm glad I did, because I don't know, this made in Japan one, it's cheaper. That's nice. But also B, it's a nicer guitar. Yeah. It's like a better put together instrument. The fit and finish is better. It's got a better bridge on it. Still does all the Dan Armstrong things. And I'm like, okay, you're right. This is the one. That's a funny thing too, because I've had some friends like just begin to get into vintage and stuff. Because I'm kind of into vintage guitars. I have a small but pretty respectable collection of stuff, and to compare a 2024 custom shop Murphy Lab, standard to something, whatever, 60 years old, 70 whatever, to like a late 50s Les Paul. There's gonna be differences, and you might like the modern guitar better, which good for you. You'll save yourself $300,000, but it's not apples to apples. They look the same, and one is a replica, but with just modern stuff on it. It's a different guitar. It's might be more stable. It might be, whatever. It might feel more like you want because it's just newer or whatever. So that's like older is not always what you want. It's usually what I want. Not always. It's usually what I want. Yeah. I like old guitars. I do too. I have them from all across the board, but I've learned I like weird old guitars. I mean, I like classic old guitars too, but I like weird ones. Yeah. Sometimes ones that have been slightly maligned. Like my favorite acoustic is like a 74 J160E. And I'm like, nobody talks about that with the same reverence of like a Dove or a SJ200 or a J45. Right. But I'm just like, I love that guitar. It's phenomenal. We like what we like. Mm-hmm.
Hello there. I'd like to introduce you to your new best friend, the Chase Bliss Audio Lossy. Lossy is a collaboration between Chase Bliss and Goodhertz. And it's meant to give you some control over those weird digital artifacts that come with very compressed audio. You're hearing it right now. All the changes that are taking place are strictly coming from my playing dynamics. I'm just interacting with the pedal and letting it do its thing. In some true stereo goodness. If you'd like some more details about Lossy, I'd invite you to head over to chaseblissaudio.com. I think you're going to like what you find.
This summer, serve up the cookout classics, Kraft mayo and dressing. Toss green salads with delicious ranch dressing or zesty Italian. Serve smooth, craveably creamy potato salads with mayo. We all know it's not a cookout without Kraft.
Expedia and Visit Scotland invite you to come experience the beauty that awaits in Scotland. The sweep of wild coastlines, quiet lochs, and untamed landscapes. Fresh cuisine that feels rooted in the land. Come experience the kind of stillness that stays with you long after you leave. Plan your Scottish escape today at expedia.com/Visit Scotland.
What are some of your favorites out of the respectable vintage collection?
I have a 63 ES335. It's got patent sticker pickup, the first generation patent sticker pickups in it. Sunburst ES335. It's a late 63, so it's got the little bit wider neck. When they started edging up in 63, 64, the necks get full again. It's probably, it's hard to say. It depends what you're doing, but it's easily one of the best guitars I have. I love that guitar.
Mm-hmm.
I have a couple 69s that I love, a 69 custom and a 69 standard, which in 69 the standards were P90 gold top. Both of those are great. I have a great 64 SG Junior, just a single pickup SG, the great neck profile. That guitar, talk about loud, not plugged in. I rarely plug that guitar in. That's just kind of an around the house like guitar, and it's just so loud you don't need to. You can just sit there and play without it plugged in if you're just jamming by yourself. I have a 1960 Les Paul Custom, 3-pickup Custom. I've had a couple of those. This one I sold, and now it's on the way back. So I just have to fetch it. I have to fetch it from the guy, but I can call it mine now because we're done. The deal's done. But that's a great guitar. That's just like Keith Richards, Jimmy Page, kind of like, Black Beauty 3-pickup. Page used those on his pre-Zeppelin stuff, a lot of his session work, and the Donovan stuff and all that kind of stuff. He had a 60 custom. So that's a great guitar. Those are some of the highlights, I'd say.
Very cool.
Got a cool 57 J45 acoustic. Love that guitar.
Very nice. Very nice. That sounds like yes, that is very respectable.
Small but respectable collection.
Yeah. I love it. So, talking about all this guitar stuff and gear, when you're writing, how much does the gear inform you? Because for me, I feel like it has a pretty big impact. Because sometimes I'm like playing the pedals as much as I'm playing guitar. But for you, how much do you feel that what you're playing informs what you're playing?
Kind of not at all.
Okay.
I understand your point playing the pedals, and that's cool. I mean, I think there's probably elements. There's parts of that I think pedals can be a part of the sound, and you're sculpting sound really. So that's what you're doing. So if you're doing, I was listening to what was I listening to? A U2 song yesterday in the car, and there was an old U2 song, and I'm listening to how percussively the Edge plays and how much, obviously, anyone familiar with their music, he's real heavy on that delay and the way his right hand plays percussively. But also a lot of the chords, like the chord stabs were very like Adrian Belew, like in like the David Bowie stuff, like didn't he? I think he played on Fashion and that kind of stuff. That real angular, like brittle, stabby stuff with lots of like effect on it. And I was kind of hearing that in the Edge in a way that I hadn't really ever noticed or thought about before. So I understand that, but especially for Lamb, it's really just about finding a tone that kind of supports me exploring a riff. It's all about riff and groove for me with Lamb. And then once I have a riff, sort of taking that riff and then switching gears and thinking about making a song. So trying to put together a song that makes sense just as backing chords, and then reinserting riffs that slot in over those backing chords. So you have a song, but it's also riffed out and metal. And that's kind of how I approach Lamb. So a lot of times I'll write with I use Logic, and I'll just have like a proprietary like Logic plugin that's just easy for me to pull up, and I'll just write with that. We don't really use that. Once by the time we're recording and mixing and stuff, we usually move, to real amps. But for writing, I can kind of write as long as I have a decent tone. I can metal wise, I can write what I want. I do think for like my solo work and that kind of stuff, which is more like straight rock and more kind of Southern rock, classic rock, blues oriented, tone can inspire. But even there, I don't use a lot of effects. It's just more about finding a tone that feels old and feels inspirational.
Mm-hmm. So what is the process like? You mentioned like, okay, I'm going to start with the riff and start maybe with a plug-in to make it easy. But once you start bringing everybody else in the band into it, what does your guys' process look like?
Well, for writing, you mean? Writing and recording?
Yeah.
Because it's different, for writing and recording versus live. But
sure.
For writing and recording, Willie and I kind of work at first independently. Willie, the other guitar player in Lamb, we both are songwriters and music writers. So we'll work independently. He has a home studio, I have one, and we'll kind of compile demo ideas. And then usually me and Willie, and very often our producer Josh, will just kind of have a hangout where we'll just listen to ideas and make notes and give feedback and that kind of thing. So we'll do that a couple times, and then we'll start making like real more professional demos out of the songs with Josh, our producer, and we'll start breaking down whatever drums we had programmed to it and trying different things. And then that's at that point we start bringing in the other guys, obviously getting Art's input on the drums, getting Campbell's input on the bass. Randy's hanging around at that point, listening, seeing which songs he's kind of keying into that he wants to write to and that kind of stuff. He'll be like, "Hey, can you send me a demo of these three? I want to write something to them." And it just sort of starts stacking up.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like a lot of fun, honestly.
It is. It's honestly, I'd say it's my favorite of all the hats I wear and all the things that we do. Activity-wise to make this thing happen, that's my favorite part, because it's just pure creativity, and I really like the people I work with. So like and respect the people I work with. So it's enjoyable.
Was the process always like that from the early days, or did it start out a little more everyone in the room coming up with stuff?
The first early days, it was still the same process in that Willie and I brought riffs in. Just, I think logistically the process looked a little different, because back then this was pre-Logic, back then not everyone knew how to run Pro Tools, you know what I mean? Or even had a laptop or anything like that. So we had cassette tapes and little hand cassette recorders, and Willie and I would record riffs and to remember them, and then bring them into band practice, then show everyone the riff. Then we would make another tape of everyone playing the riff once we learned it. You know what I mean? So I think, creatively the process was always the same, but logistically it looked different because of the technology. Yeah.
It's amazing how, at least for me and a lot of other people I've talked to, how amazing the iPhone voice memo app has become for songwriters. Like the amount of times I've just been out on a walk or in a car or supposed to be doing something else. I'm like, I've got an idea. What do I do? I know. I'll hum it into my voice memo app real quick.
I got a folder full of them right now. Yep.
Yeah. I think has been like one of the best things about modern technology from a musical perspective that most people don't think about. If you're not a songwriter, you probably don't think about it. But if you've ever wrote any piece of music in the last 10 years, there's a good chance that it started with the iPhone voice memo app.
It's pretty handy, I will say.
Yeah. Well, Mark, we are getting close to the end of the main episode, and we'll slide over to Patreon in a little bit to get into whatever kind of shenanigans we can get into over there. And I have 2 classic questions I like to wrap up every episode with. But before I do, I like to give the guests the chance to take the floor. Shout out anybody you want to shout out. Plug anything you want to plug. You know, you're talking to a few thousand people right now, so the floor is yours.
Man, nothing to plug, really. The guitars were great. Thanks to everyone that got one. They're gone. So if you want to enter the String Joy contest, that might be your last chance to get an unplayed one anyway. And just thanks to everyone who listens and who comes and buys tickets and shows up for the shows. And, you know, we just finished up a headlining tour of North America, and it was a fantastic tour. Attendance was awesome. The vibes were awesome. It was long. It was a tough routing. It was a lot of work. And the people that showed up every night and filled that room with joy and excitement made every mile and hour worth it. So thanks to everyone that's been supporting.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right, Mark, here we go. Final questions. Here's the first one. First, what is your favorite Boss pedal?
Oh, my favorite Boss pedal. All right. I'm going to catch hell for this one because this is
okay.
I'm the guy everyone wants to yell at about gates. And apparently there's this narrative that the Boss NS2, there's a lot of haters about the Boss NS2, and there's this narrative that it kills your tone. And I'm here to say that's a lie.
It's a lie.
It might kill your tone. I find it to be one of the most transparent gates I've ever played through, and also one of the most adjustable. So I can find just the perfect place for that thing to slide shut and open back up in a way that I can't with other gates. Not even some of the more popular gates that everyone loves to talk about, which I also use in different scenarios for different things. But all this hate about the Boss NS2, I would say either you don't know how to use it, or you have a very different set of ears than I do, which we all have ears, right?
That's true.
So my favorite Boss pedal is the Boss NS2.
The NS2. Well, I will say, in defense of the NS2, I don't know that there's been another noise suppressor talked about on this particular show. Now, granted, I ask Boss questions, but still, we talk about lots of pedals on here. I don't think there's been another noise suppressor that's really been discussed at length on this show other than the NS2.
I mean, also, you know, if your noise gate has one knob on it, it probably needs some more knobs.
It probably needs more control. Probably need a little more adjustability. Most likely.
Just a thought.
Yeah, I'll just go ahead and say it because I this is my experience. This is my lived truth, as we're supposed to express these days. I didn't really like the decimator.
Okay, here's the thing. Since you're gonna name the wind, here's the thing. The decimator is great. The NS2. If I only get, I'm not even gonna say that. I use them both. They're both in my rig. Ideally, in best case scenario, they're both off. And there are nights that I play, a lot of nights where they are both off. And then there are nights when one or the other only comes on if I'm going gung gung gung, gung gung gung, gung gung gung. Then James, my tech, who's fantastic, knows that part's coming up, and he'll click it for that section, that bridge, and then at the end of the bridge, he'll click it off, and then we're off again for the rest of the song. So there's no tone suck there because it's only on for that muted section of bridge or whatever. I find, this is just my experience, I use both a decimator and an NS2. Ideally, best case scenario, they're off. And that's a lot of the time. I use the decimator for power noise, if there's noisy power or some kind of hum or something that's showing up in the transformer. I'm not an electrician, but in that circuit, there's a hum. Then the decimator is good for that, and I can roll it way back as much as possible until I just make it bearable. In terms of sound from like loop or something like that, or guitar noise or anything like that, feedback, etc., the NS2 is untouchable and far more adjustable, which I appreciate. And I will say again, because this is the most important part, the goal is to have them off.
Yes. I like this. This is good. I'm glad that we went down this rabbit hole a little bit.
We'll clear the air.
We'll clear the air. All right, final question. What is your favorite kind of pizza?
Just like straight up cheese, New York style.
Oh, it's so
big
good.
Triangle slice of New York cheese pizza. Yeah.
It's incredible. I'm a big like meat eater, but then there is nothing that hits like a perfectly done New York style slice of cheese. It's so good. I think about it way too often.
I mean, I am at an age and a metabolism and in the battle of the bulge at all points. So I don't eat a lot of New York cheese pizza. But if I'm gonna have a piece of pizza, that's the style I want. Yeah.
I feel you. Do you have any particular pizzerias that have fond memories or that you want to plug, or is it just anywhere?
Oh man, Carini in East Richmond, man. It's
okay.
It's Italian. I think they're from New Jersey. Came down here and started a pizza shop. So it's minus the water. It's the real thing.
I love it. Well, Mark, thank you so much for hanging out. I appreciate your time. We'll slide over to Patreon and see what kind of silliness we can create. Does that work for you?
That sounds good.
Okay. All right, everybody. For Mark, this is Blake. And as always, folks, good luck and good tones.
All right, everybody, there's another episode in the can. And if you want more with Mark, yeah, we did a little bit more. Go over to patreon.com/tonemob, where for just $5 a month, you can not only help me out in a huge way by helping me pay my electric bill, you can also hear extra bonus episodes, including one with Mark that we recorded just for the patrons of the podcast. And, oh yeah, there's more. You get ad-free episodes for that price too. Yes, that is what we're doing over there. And if you could help out, it would mean the world to me. Thank you to everybody who does that. It is so incredibly helpful. It really does mean a lot. Also, don't forget what I mentioned in the intro. The Summer of Stringjoy is still on, baby. So you can win a Gibson Les Paul Mark Morton signature. Just go to stringjoy.com to check out all the details on that. Please check them out. No purchase necessary, all that legal mumbo jumbo, of course, but all the official rules and all that good stuff are available on the website. Go to stringjoy.com and you can read up and enter to win that guitar. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out. I appreciate you more than I could possibly explain in the time that I have left to record this intro. So I will simply say thank you, and I will talk to you on the internet very, very soon. Thank you. From Idaho. I'll be back in Portland soon. But anyway, good night from Idaho. Goodbye.
One last thing before we totally sign off here. I just want to remind you that if you do any shopping at Stringjoy, that's Stringjoy guitar strings made in Nashville, that will help me out as well. As I've said for years, I'm heavily involved in that company, and I really do think they're making the best products on the market. So if you would like to try custom strings, go to tonemob.com/stringjoy and check them out today. I seriously love what the team down there is doing. I help them out with all kinds of things, and by you supporting them, you are also supporting me as well. And hey, you need some strings, so why not get some custom strings just for your guitar and playing style? Again, the link for that is tonemob.com/stringjoy, and that will take you right to their website, and you can do all your shopping through there, and that will help everyone involved out. So thank you very much. Talk to you next time. We are brought to you by the wonderful folks at Gun Street Wiring Shop. Yes, Gun Street Wiring Shop. I've talked about them before. I used to say based out of Bend, Oregon, but guess what? Sean moved to my neck of the woods. Sean's in Portland. Sean is awesome and has helped me with a bunch of stuff lately. And if you have wiring needs for your guitar, he can help you too. If you want to get weird with it, he can get weird. If you just need to spruce things up a little bit, there's your guy. He takes all the guesswork out of doing your guitar wiring, and he makes it simple, and his customer service is top-notch, and I can't say enough good things about Gunstreet as a company. I really respect Sean and what he's all about, and the product is top-notch. I've got 3 different guitars that now have Gunstreet harnesses in them, and I could not be happier. So go to gunstreetwiringshop.com and check them out.
IndyCar fans, it's time to start your engines. I'm Bruce Morton, host of Pit Pass Indy, the IndyCar podcast giving you an insider's view of the exciting world of the NTT IndyCar Series. Each week, I take you trackside with exclusive interviews from the biggest names in the sport, including champions like Alex Palou, Joseph Newgarden, Scott Dixon, Will Power, and other fan favorites like Pato O'Ward, Christian Lundgaard, and Kyle Kirkwood. Powered by Penske Truck Rental, Pit Pass Indy keeps you up to speed on every electrifying race. Listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.